Mr. Babatunde. Babatunde. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Yes, I can see your screen. Yes, I can see. All right. Thank you very much, sir.
I think there is an
So,
echo. Maybe you should reduce the volume of the other device.
okay, maybe it's from your end. I guess it's from your end.
Okay, right. Let me. How about now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay,
All
yeah,
right.
it's
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's class once again. Our topic for today is we'll be delving deeper into functions and formulas. So I'll start with the ground rules as usual. So firstly, punctuality. Um, Secondly, let's always have an open mind towards learning. There should always be one class. Let's participate whenever a question is asked. Let's always answer and let's respect each other, please. Ask questions as many as you can. There's nothing like stupid questions or wrong questions. We try as much as we can to answer everything. So note that your mic will always be muted throughout this section. So whenever you have a questions, just raise up your hand and you'll be muted. So moving on to my name is Temitope Fatima. I'm your moderator for today. I'm a certified data analyst and a Microsoft certified Azure AI with over 3 years of experience as a data analyst. I currently work at Nametrics as a business analyst. So moving on to our speaker for today, in person of Babatope Agbeyo. Babatope is an expert and a financial modeler and analyst. He has trained over 3,000 top executives across industries in the areas of finance and accounting, Excel, productivity courses, and financial modeling courses, following best practices. He has worked on several models and reviewed and audited over 100 financial models and counting. He has FMVA and AFM certifications. He is a member of various communities. A few of them are full stack modelers, Projects Finance Institute, and Financial Modeling Institute. He has managed a community of young financial modelers. I think he needs a round of applause, guys. Let's welcome him on the group and a round of applause to him via emojis. Welcome, Baba, today. It's good to have you on the call today. Thank you very much for your time. So over to you, sir. I'll stop sharing my screen.
yeah. Many thanks, Fatima. I hope I got your name right.
Yeah, sure.
All right, thank you very much, and thanks for the warm welcome. I'm just going to share my screen. Kindly confirm when you can see my screen.
Okay. Yes, I can.
Okay, all right, that's good. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to have you join today's session. And then it's good to know that you're getting up to speed when it comes to data analytics. And I know that a few of my colleagues, they would have taught you one or two things in the previous session. I'm glad to take it up from where they stopped and then going deeper into functions and formulas in Excel. But just before we start, okay, it's Babatope, not Babatunde. Thank you very much, Temitope, for welcoming me. It's actually Tope, not Tunde. Yeah, so I would like to ask you.
Noted that.
Yeah, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I would like to ask you. I mean, how many years have you been using Excel? Just type in the chat. How many years have you been using Excel? Oh, 2 years, 2 years, Damilola, 2 years, 3 years, 3 years, a year, Babatunde. Okay. Let me see who have been using Excel for maybe 10 years. Oh, someone 23 years. Oh, but I must see 23 years. Okay. 9 years. Suleiman, 9 years. Do you mean 9 months or years? Taiwo, do you mean 18 years or 18 months? Oh, 7 years, Sheriff. Okay. All right, that's good to know. I'm happy. I'm happy to see people using Excel for lots of years here. So very quickly, I want to ask you a quick question, and I want you to go to the chat and type this. Okay, thank you very much, Mustafa, 19 years. How many columns are there in Excel? Let's start from there. How many columns do we have in Excel? How many columns are there in Excel? Very quickly, how many columns are there in Excel? Anyone's going to help me? How many columns are there in Excel? Is there anyone helping? You can type in the chat. Please, Google is not your friend. Don't go to Google. Let's just have a discussion. How many columns are there in Excel? I hope everyone can hear me. Um, Abdul Yakim, I hope you did not go to Google. Okay. I don't know if you can permit, Lasisi is saying 1 million. I think that's rows. So there's difference between rows and column. Column is being denoted by alphabets and the rows is being denoted by numbers. Fatima, kindly permit Damilola. Damilola, do you want to share with us? Are you able to get your answer?
Hi, Dami.
Okay.
Can you raise up your hands?
Okay, is there anyone that wants to help us? Okay, I think Oluwatosin wants to do that. So you can just permit Oluwatosin.
Okay, you can unmute your mic, Tosin.
Hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Hello? Okay, so equals to columns, and then
Okay,
you
it
select.
did equal
I did it.
to columns. Is there any difference between column and columns?
Yes.
What's the difference?
Okay, so the difference between column and columns is, oh, no. I don't know.
You don't know,
But I
right?
know
Okay,
that
it's fine.
when you want
Okay,
to, but
okay,
I know
right.
that when
So,
you want to get the number of columns is equals to columns, then you select
okay.
control
And then you
shifts
select
and
what?
store control shifts, then end, then you enter to
Control
bring.
Shift and End. Do you mean I select this, right? Then I press enter. Is that it?
Yes,
Just like that,
exactly
right?
what you did. Yes.
Exactly what I did. Okay, well, that's fine. Okay, all right. So we have 16,384 columns in Excel. There's a difference between rows and then column. Rows is being denoted by numbers and then columns is being denoted by alphabets. Now, the difference between the plural form and then the singular form is that if you say equals to column, which is the singular, is just return the exact column where you are. This column 3, right? So if I close the bracket, then it gives me 3. That is, if I do a count, 1, 2, and then 3, that is that's column 3. So for column, it just return the particular column where you are, and then for columns, it returns the array. So today, basically, what we're going to be looking at is that we'll be looking at how you can master formulas and functions in Excel. Then we'll talk about the sum, average, mean, max, large, small, rank functions in Excel. I'm quite aware that some of you have been using Excel for many years. That is very, very fantastic. But then let's see how you can be efficient when you're making use of these functions. Therein, I'm going to be teaching you smart techniques to understanding Excel syntax. When it comes to using functions in Excel, what you need to know is to understand the syntax. One of the reasons why people get stuck when they are making use of a particular function in Excel is because they really do not have an understanding of the syntax, or what you call the function argument. But then if you have an understanding of this argument, it will be very, very easier for you to understand individual function that you're making use of in Excel. I know that you know how to generate random numbers in Excel. That's going to be more like a quick activity that we're going to be doing just before we delve into the activity. But then before I open the exercise file that we'll be using for today's session, I would like to ask another question, and then you can raise your hand so that you have the opportunity to speak. Who wants to tell me the difference between formulas and functions? Is there any difference between formulas and functions? Formulas and functions. Okay, all right. So maybe I have Abdul Malik Sulaiman. Hi, Abdul Malik. I think you have the permission now. You can speak. Or you can also type in the chat so that we don't take more time. Is there any difference between formulas and functions? Okay, formulas is like operations, function is like task. Functions are built while formulas are formed. Okay, interesting. Just type in the chat. I want to see, is there any difference between formulas and functions? Functions are predefined formulas. How about formula? Functions contain formulas. Okay, functions are rules or predefined formula. Okay, any other person want to share with me, when you say formulas and function, what's the difference between formulas and function in Excel? Functions enables you create formulas. All right, I think we have a lot of professors here, and then the professors are giving us different definition. But then very quickly, when you say formula, right? Let's assume that I want to generate random numbers. So I can say equals to rand between. Now, when you say rand between gives you numbers within two specified numbers that you've defined, inclusive of those two data points, or let's say number points. So if I press Control A, so anytime, any day that you want to make use of a function in Excel, there's a need for you to go to the function argument. Under this function argument, you'll be able to see what the function does for you. So for rand between, it returns a random number between the numbers you specify. And then we have two arguments. You have the bottom and then you have the top. Now for the bottom, I have is the smallest integer. Rand between will return. That is the smallest number it's going to return. And then the top, that is the largest integer rand between is going to return. Now, if you come here and then you type 100, and then come here, you type 10, Excel is going to return an error because this should be the smallest, then this should be the largest. If I click on OK, you're going to see that it's going to return a num error for me. And the reason for that is because this is not well arranged. Now, Excel, you are human, you are making use of Excel. All right, I'm going to zoom, don't worry. So this is, I'm just going to define this by 10 and then this by 100, and I press enter. And I think that works. And I think that works, right? That works. So you have here to be 11. Then if I just copy down and then I do Control D, Control R. Now what you observe is that these numbers are definitely going to be changing. And if I wanted to change, what I need to do is just to press F9, F9. So if I keep pressing F9, If I keep pressing F9, see that the numbers are changing. Someone says they can't see my screen. Please confirm that you can see my screen.
I can see your screen.
Okay, right.
Can
So,
you maybe you should the person should log out and log in again. Maybe it
okay,
could
right.
be network.
Okay, right. I want someone on the call aside from my moderator to okay, your screen is very clear. Okay, thank you very much, Taiwo. Now, if I press F9, you see that those numbers are going to be changing. They're going to be adjusting, right? They're going to be changing and changing. And basically, what I'm doing here is that Excel is recalculating itself. But then if I want to fix this, all I need to do, I can come here, hold on my Shift key, and select the last one. It helps me to select the entire. And I can do Control C and paste a special value. Now, if I paste a special value, that means that I've pasted without the what? Without the function. Now, when you say formula, formula is you now saying that equal to this plus this plus this plus this plus this plus this. This is what we call formula. Formula is when you are typing the operation that you want it to perform yourself, right? You know, I have to manually type the operation, that is, do I want to add it or I want to subtract it? If I press enter, then it gives me 461. Now, let's say, for example, I want to deduct, I can say equals to maybe this minus this cell. Then I press enter. This is also what we call formula. Now, when you talk about functions, functions are predefined in Excel. If you come to your ribbon and then you see formulas, you see different formulas that are being predefined in Excel. You see under the auto sum, you see the sum, you see average, you see the count, max, mean, and every other function. Under the financial function as well, you see different functions there. The logical, you see those there, text functions, the lookup and reference functions, and then you have more functions as well that you can see in here. Now, instead of just doing a formula there, I can press Alt and equal to easily sum this, and I press enter, right? You know, easily I'm able to get the sum of the range that I want to get, right? And then to confirm if what I've done is correct, all I need to do is to edit the formula. How do I edit this formula? I can either double click to see if I've captured the range, or I press F2 to be sure that I've captured the range. Alternatively, I come to the formula bar. And when I come to this formula bar and I want to see the syntax, all I need to do is to click on this insert function. And when I see the insert function, it tells me what the function argument does. Sum helps you to add all the numbers in a range of cell, and then you have the argument, which is number 1, number 2, number 3, and as the case may be. And that is basically what we call formulas and functions. When you say formulas, that is you performing the operation, you manually typing the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and whatever operation that you want to perform. Then when you say function, those are predetermined in Excel. And then I've taught you how to generate random numbers in Excel. You can make use of round between to generate random number in Excel. And then if you want to now keep it static, that is, you don't want it to be dynamic, you copy and paste a special value. And then what I use to copy and paste a special value is Control Alt V. That is Control plus Alt plus V. Control Alt V. This is what I use, right? I use Control Alt and V, or you can make use of Alt ES and V. So alternatively, okay, so let me just copy down. So alternatively, you can use Alt ES and V. Let me see this. Alt plus E plus S plus V. Yeah, just like this, right? So you have Alt ESV or use Control Alt V. So this enables you to paste special. Now we'll be looking at lookup and reference function. When you say lookup, now you want to look up for something, right? You want to find something from maybe a range of data, of my data set. All right, so we'll be looking at lookup and the reference function. And if you go to your formula ribbon here, under the lookup and reference function, you see lots of lookup and reference function. You see HLOOKUP, you see index, you see lookup, you see match, you see offset, you see rows, you see rows, VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, and XMatch. For those using maybe Excel 2019, you may not have XLOOKUP and XMatch. But then if you are using 2021, I think you should have. So what I want you to do now is to open the exercise file that was sent to you ahead of the session. I want you to open the file, and immediately you have that open, kindly confirm in the chats. Please immediately you have it open, just confirm in the chat that you have the file opened. Okay, Fatima, I guess you shared this file with them before the session.
I'm trying to share it now, sorry.
Okay, just because of time, you're definitely going to get a file, and then you also get the recording to this session. And let's take, for example, you are being given the names of students in a class,
Sorry, I've,
and this
I've
is
shared the
discussed.
file on the WhatsApp group.
Okay, right. So please, everybody, just
Thank
try
you.
to download the file.
Okay, you can go on the way.
Apologies, I was muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, right. So I said that to sum, all you need to do is just to press Alt and equal to. It sums the range. But then assume that I have a number here. Let's say, for example, I have 67 here, and I come to this particular cell, then I press Alt and equal to. What do you think is going to be the result and why? I'm quite sure that some of you learned the basic function in the previous session. So if I press Alt and equal to, what am I going to see here? Okay, someone is typing 1 million. Okay, 67. All right. So if I press Alt and equal to, I'm going to see 67. Absolutely correct. Now, the reason for that is because Excel looks up first, right? Before it looks to the left, right? So as a result of that, anytime, any day, that you want to make use of the Alt and equal to, and then it's not giving you the predefined range. All you now need to do is to come in here and then now capture the range that you want to sum, and then you press enter. But then let me take this back to total scores so that we have what we need. Total scores. My spelling. Now I can just double click on this and then it gives me the total scores, right? Now, let's say for example, I have some tags here. I will just do just a few one and then we'll proceed to the next function that we need to use. Now, if I'm to calculate the total scores obtained by students in mathematics, all I need to do is to just say equals to sum. Then I look for where I have mathematics. I'll press Ctrl Shift top arrow and I'll press enter. Then here I can easily get the total number of scores in mathematics. And if I want to change the format of this to a number format, having thousand separator, all I need to do is to press Ctrl Shift and 1, Ctrl Shift to 1 to change to number format. So I have Control plus Shift plus 1. So this enables me to change to number format. Then the second one is to get the maximum scores obtained by students in chemistry. All I need to do is to use the max function. And if you press Ctrl A, you'll see what max does for you. It returns the largest value in a set of values and ignores logical values and text. And then when you go to numbers numbers ranging from 1 to 2, 5, 5 numbers, empty cell, logical values, or text number. But then what is the defined area that I'm looking for? The defined area is actually chemistry. So I go to where I have chemistry. I'll select the range and then I'll press enter. Then from here, I'm able to get the maximum score that is being obtained in chemistry. Now, if I need to get the average scores of students in English, all I need to do is what? Average. I know these are basic for you. Then I go to where I have English. I'll just press Ctrl Shift right up arrow. Then I press enter. And from here, I'm able to get the average scores of students in English. So very quickly, I want you all to do number 4. I want you to get the minimum score obtained by students in biology. What is the minimum score obtained by students in biology? What is the minimum score obtained by students in biology? Okay, 44, 44. All right, so let's do that together. And basically, what I'm looking for is what? Is minimum, which is mean. I'm just going to say equals to mean. And then if I press Ctrl A, I'm going to see it returns the smallest number in a set of values. Now, what am I looking for? That is in biology. So I'll come to where I have biology here. And then I'm just going to press Ctrl Shift up arrow, then down a bit, then I press enter, then it gives me 44. Then if I'm going to do a count of how many students are there in the class, if I do equals to counts, what count does for me is that it counts the numbers of cells in a range that contains what? Numbers. That is, if I come here, then I come to where I have names, right? If I do Control Shift top arrow, then I press enter, what I'm going to see here is 0, right? Because what count does is that it counts numbers and not text, not alphabet, right? It counts numbers. So what I'm going to use here is what we'll call the count A function. That is count A. Some people call it counter, some call it count A, but then either of the two, whichever one that you're comfortable with, then you can call it that. If I press Ctrl Shift to right arrow, then I press down, then what I'm going to see is what? Is 15. So I have 15. Okay, all right, I'll teach you that, Abdul Yakim. Just note that I'm going to teach you that. So Abdul Yakim is saying that when I enter something here, you see that the format leaves, but then if it is blank, then you see that we do not have format here. That is conditional formatting. I'm going to explain that to you very shortly. Then question number 6 is, what is the fourth highest? What's the difference between column A and count rows? Okay, count A and count rows. I think I've explained that the count A is for you to count text, and then when you say count is use that one to count number. Then we are to get what is the fourth largest or highest score in mathematics. What I'm going to do is that I will just do equals to large. I'll use the large function. If I press Ctrl A, you see that large returns the kth largest. Remember, what I'm looking for is what? The fourth highest, the fourth highest. Now, what is the array in? I'll need to know where I'm selecting from. That is in mathematics. So I'll just go to where I have mathematics. I'll select this range, right? And then what is the position that I'm looking for? I need the fourth. Then I'll just press OK. And what you're going to see here is what? Is 84. Now let's see if we can do this manually as well. If I can do this manually, I'll insert a filter button. And to insert a filter button, you make use of Control Shift L to insert a filter button. Control Shift L. And I'll click on this filter button. If I click on this filter button, then I can go to number format, right? I can go to number format. And from here, you can see the one that is equal to, you can see the one that is greater than, you can see the one that is less than, you can see the top 10, right? You can see the top 10, and then you can also do some custom formatting. Whichever thing that you want to do there, you can always do that. We're going to make use of this very shortly when I'll be explaining for you. But then let's assume that what I would actually want to see here is a top 10. What I need to do is to go to the number format, then I'll click on top 10, or maybe I should click on top 4. Okay, let me do top 4. Let me do top 4. Okay, I can just type that because of time. Then I'll click on OK. When you come here, can you see the top 4? This is the top 4. And then can you see the arrangement? This is the fourth one, which is also the same thing as what we have just right here. Now the next question, so I can remove my filter button. Now the next thing and to remove my filter button is also Control Shift and L. Now the next thing I want to do is to get the least score in chemistry. I want you to do that. What is the least score in chemistry? All right, so I can see 40 there. There are numbers of ways that you can do this. Number one, you can say mean. And then if I say mean, then I can come to what am I looking for? Chemistry. And I can come here, then I press Ctrl Shift top arrow, then I press enter, then it gives me 40. Alternatively, I can make it of small. If I do small, now remember that what I'm looking for is what? Is the least score. That is more like you are arranging in ascending or descending order. That's how large and then small works. So we're going to use small and then we also use large. Now, what is the array? I'm concerned with chemistry, so I'll go to where I have chemistry. I'm just going to press Ctrl Shift top arrow. Now, what is the position? I'll just say 1. That is the smallest, which that is I'm interested in 1. Now, if I want to use large as well, I can say equals to large. Then I'll also select the range. I'll go back to the range. And now I'm not going to, if I press 1, 1 will give me the largest. That is number 1. But then I need to select the, what is it called? The minimum. And then I want somebody to remind me how many number of students do we have in the class? How many number of students? 15. So that means that the list is going to be what? 15. So I'm going to close the bracket, then I press enter, and I still have 40 right here. So when it comes to Excel, or maybe using function in Excel, there are a lot of functions that you can use to achieve a particular objective. However, what I used to advise people is that make use of a function that you are comfortable with. You can see us use mean, you can see us use small, you can see us use large here. And also, let's now take, for example, here now, we're able to get, let's say, the list in chemistry. Now, that is the 15th position, right? And also, I can still do the same thing. Let's say, for example, I can get their position. So I can just say equals to rank. If I say rank, then I'll go to, let's say, this number that is in chemistry. Then I will select the reference. I'll just press Ctrl Shift down arrow. I will lock that and I press enter. So this is the third, this guy has the third position in class. Sorry about that. And I'll copy down and I press Ctrl D. Now, what are we looking for? The guy with the 15, which is this, and then which is 40 as well, right? So you can use any of these. So this helps you to get the position and what have you. Now, the last one here is that how many students scored above the average score in mathematics? I need a count of students that scored above the average score in mathematics. Now I'm going to do this one after the other. I'll be using a combination of functions here. Now the first thing I need to get is equals to, or maybe I should allow you to do that in just maybe 60 seconds. How many students scored above the average score in mathematics? Who is going to get that for us? How many students scored above the average score in mathematics? Count down. I think you have added maybe 20 seconds more now. It's going to help us. How many students scored above the average score in mathematics? Okay, you can type your response in the chat, and I can now call you to tell me how you did it. I can see that Emmanuel is raising his hand, or Emmanuel, have you done it? You can just type yes or no in the chat. Okay, you're doing it now. Okay, or do you want to walk us through how we can achieve that so that we don't take more time? I think people are still working on that. Okay, Fatima, please allow Emmanuel to speak. So Emmanuel, kindly walk me through on how to do that. Emmanuel, you can raise your hand so that you have the permission to do that.
Sorry, can you raise your hands up, Emmanuel? So you can speak now. Unmute your mic.
Okay, so Emmanuel, let's go. Then I have Saidi. Then I will then do it. Okay, so Emmanuel, walk me through.
Okay. That is here already, yes. Okay,
Okay,
so
so like I said, already did that, right? So I'm just going to do equals to count. Then I will do average, right?
yes.
Then I will go to
Then
mathematics.
that's criteria.
Then I'll close the bracket. Is that all?
No, you need to
I'll
add the
close the bracket
criteria.
again, right? What do you say?
Okay.
So what do I need to do? Just tell me what I need to do.
Okay. So if
This is what
count
Asisi
if
said we should do, which is 1. Is this what you want us to do?
no, I was going to use count if actually.
Count if. So I do count if here, right?
And
Based
then
on
get
a
the range.
criteria.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll get the range. What is the range?
Because
The
we
range will
already
be,
have.
because we already have what?
Okay, I just figured out the range. The average we got before was for English. So I need
Is
to
that
get
for
the range
English? I think it's for mathematics.
for maths
B6 to
that we need
B20.
now. Okay.
Yeah. So let's aim for maths. Is this what we are going to do?
Okay. An average of say. Sorry, I guess I was too forward. I need to actually walk through this.
Okay,
Sorry.
well, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. That's
Yes,
fine. That's
thank you.
fine.
Okay.
I can see somebody already defining that. Yeah, so let's make use of him. The first thing I'm going to do is that you get average. Now, if you come to the average, now I want to how many students scored above the average score. So the first thing I want to get is the average. So if I come here now and I get the average and I press enter, this is the average score. The average score is 73.13. Now I want to do count if. That means that I need to count based on criteria. But then after this class, I want you to go and use count if, but then I'm going to use count ifs. Count ifs allows you to include more than one criteria, right? So I'm just going to use count if. Then what is the criteria? You can mute yourself now, Emmanuel. So what is the criteria range? Now the criteria range is this. So I'm just going to select the criteria range. And then what is the criteria? This is a criteria, but then I want it to be greater than. So I'm just going to put this in quotes. Put a greater than sign, and then I'll put an and sign to join both the greater and then the average. I'll close the bracket and I'll press enter. Then it gives me a count of 7. Now, if you want to do it manually, how can we do that? So I'll come back to the within the data range. I'll press Ctrl Shift L to filter. And I'll come here, I'll click on the drop down, then I'll go to number filter. Now, what exactly do I want? I want within a particular range. So I'm just going to say that maybe greater than, and then what is the range? So I'm just going to say 73.13. I think that is it. Then I click on OK. And if we do a count of this, just at the bottom here, you see that we have 7. Can you see that? Can you see that? So we have 7. So that's basically about it. Then we go to the shoes index and the match function. These are actually very fantastic function that you can actually make use of when it comes to Excel. Assume that you've now been given, maybe these are the names of students, then you have their position being itemized here or being listed out here. Now you want to see, okay, and somebody is now asking you that who has the third position, or who came the third position, who is in the sixth position, seventh, ninth, and then 12th, right? So the first function I'm going to be making use of is the choose function. Choose is actually the simplest and the cleanest function to use in Excel. Now, once again, I told you that if you're making use of a function for the first time, you need to go to the function argument to understand the syntax. Then what this is telling you is that chooses a value or action to perform from a list of value based on an index number. What is the index number? That is the position where I'm going to. Now, because I want to drag this down, I'm going to leave this as what? As a relative reference. And I'll go to the value. For in terms of this value, one thing about choose is that you have to now select one after the other. But then let's see if we select the range. What is it going to return for us? Now, if I come in now and I select this particular range and I log this, and I press enter, what is it going to return? It's going to return a value error. So I need to do what? Select it one after the other. That is, I have to come back here. I have to come here. Then I'm going to select this guy. I will lock it so that it doesn't move. I'll come here. I will lock it so that it doesn't move. Come here. Lock it so that it doesn't move. Come here. Lock it. Do the same thing until I get to the last one. What you observe here is that this seems to be stressful, right? However, it is the simplest function that you can ever use when it comes to maybe getting exact somebody from a list, and it is very, very easy to audit. That's just what makes the difference. Very, very simple, but then it's very stressful, and then it takes time. If I press enter, then I'm able to get this guy. If I copy this down, I drag down, I'm able to get all of this. But then if I use the index function, index is actually very easy and simple. So if I do equals to index control A, now index has 2 arguments. For this array simply means that when you have just a single table, but for this reference, if you have 2 tables that you want to pick from, that is when you make use of this reference. So I'm going to use the first one, which is the array. Then I'm going to select the array. I'm just going to select the array. I will lock it. Then what is the row norm? Now this simply means how has this been arranged? Has it been arranged in a column form or in a row? Now how did you arrange this? It's in a row. This is row 6, row 7, row 8 to row 12, right?
Mr.
And that is how.
Babatokwe, please can you kindly zoom out? I guess
Okay,
they are
right.
not seeing your screen very well.
Okay, right. I'll do that. And then I'm just gonna select these. Then I'll press enter. I'll press enter. Then if I double click this down, you observe that what we have at the top here, it's also the same thing that we have just at the bottom. So I want every one of you to do it. And immediately you've done it, just type here done in the chat.
Mr. Babatope, you're muted. Hi, Mr. Babatope. Um, can you hear me? Is it from my end? Okay, I guess he's having network issue. It's just a few seconds, please.
Yeah, I wanted you to do it. I was telling you that you should type done when you're done. Has anyone done
Okay,
it?
they were they were saying maybe you should come over again because
Okay, I should take it
they do
again,
not
right?
understand it. You can check the
Oh,
chats.
oh, okay. All right. So once again, let me take it again. I hope you all can see my screen clearly now. Is it much better?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay. From the shoes. Oh, okay. I thought you've learned the basics. So, well, then you can always. I don't want to redo these shoes because it's going to take time. So basically, for the shoes, you just have to select one after the other. But then you can look at the recording after the session. So if I go to the index, so I did equals to index. Then I'm going to select the array. That is what I want to return. I will lock it, and then I'll select the position that I'm looking for. Then I'll press enter. Then I can copy this down. Control D. Now what you observe is that what I have up here is also the same thing that I have down there, right? Now, if I'm going to ask you which one do you prefer between shoes and index, and why? Which do you prefer between shoes and index, and why? Please, why, how, and why do you lock it, please? Okay, so I think you should have done cell referencing. So when it comes, you just after at the end of this class, you can just learn more about cell reference. So the reason why I have to lock it is just to keep that particular range. That's the reason why I have to lock it. Now the next thing I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to be making use of match. Match helps you to return the position. You know, these are the position of those guys, but then I want to, let's say for example now, I want to return the position of this guy, this guy, this guy, and these guys. So what I'm going to do is that I will do equals to match. I'll do equals to match. Then what is the lookup value? This is the lookup value. Then what is the lookup array? This is the array. I'll go to lock that. And then what is the match type? I'm going to do an exact match. I'll close the bracket and I'll press enter. And I can copy down. Control D to copy my formula down. And that's basically it. Then we'll go to the lookup and reference function. Under the lookup and reference function, assume that there are corp members. These are their state code. This is the state of origin. This is the state that they are being deployed to, right? Or let me just use this as state posted. Let me rename this to be state posted so that I can use lookup and match. Then let's say that this is PPA. That is place of primary assignment. Now, if I want to get the state of origin, anytime any data I want to make is of VLOOKUP or a lookup and reference function. So if I do equals to VLOOKUP, what is the lookup value? The lookup value must be present in the table that you're looking at it from. And it must be in the leftmost column, right, where you want to get it. It must be in the leftmost column of your table. Please note that the leftmost column, leftmost. So now let's say, for example, I'm doing for the state of origin. I'll do equals to VLOOKUP. Now, what is the lookup value? Let me just press Ctrl A so I will see the syntax. What is the lookup value? Lookup value is a value to be found in the first column of a table and can be a value, a reference, or a text string. And my lookup value is this guy, that is BA. Then I'll go to the table array. Now, the rule that guides VLOOKUP is that what I'm looking for should be in the leftmost column. If I go to where I'm picking my table from, the stuff that I'm looking for is in the leftmost column. So I can decide to select the range, then I'm going to lock that. The reason why I'm locking that is because I want to keep that into place. The next thing is the column index number. What's the meaning of column index number? Column index number is the column where I have the result that I want to return. If I do a manual count, then the manual count is that this is column 1 and this is column 2. Now what I want to return is in what? Is in column 2. So I'm just going to come here and I type 2. Then for the range lookup, I want an exact match. So I'm just going to put 0 there. Then I click on OK. Now if I click on OK, then I can decide to now copy this down. I'll just come here and I'll double click. Now that is fine, but then I want a situation whereby I also want to get the state that they are posted to. I want a situation whereby when I copy this to the right, I press Ctrl R, it returns the exact result for me. What am I going to do? And how can I achieve that? I'll just come here and I will delete what I have before. Then I will do equals to VLOOKUP. Now, what is the lookup value? This is the lookup value. I'm going to hold on the column because I want to keep referring to this particular column. Now, what is the table array? The table array is this guy that I have here. Right, this is the table array. So I'm just going to come here. I will lock this. I'll come here, then I will lock it. Now, I'll go back here to where I have my function argument. Okay, where do I have this function argument? Which is the column index number. For the column index number, I can make use of match to return the column. Now, what am I looking for? I'm looking for state code. I'm going to log the row because I want to keep referring to that particular row. What is the lookup array? I'll go back to my table, which is this. I'll select this entire and I'll lock it. And I'll put a comma, then I'll put 0. I'll close the bracket. I'll put a comma, then I'll put 0 for an exact match. So what is it returning for me? It's returning BA. Okay, so I should select this instead. Now press enter. Then if I come here now and I double click this, it returns the result for me. And if I copy to the right, Control R, then I have all that I need to get. Very simple and easy instead of doing it one after the other. Now if I press F2 here, you see that it helps me to pick. I'm looking for state that they are posted to. Then I'm also looking for BA. And very simple and very, very easy. Alternatively, if you're making use of Office 365, you can make use of XLOOKUP. So if I come here and I delete this particular guy, I can do equals to SLOOKUP. What is my lookup value? This is my lookup value. What is my lookup array? That is, I'll come to the table where the information is. I will select this particular range. I will lock it. Now, what do I want to return? I want to return the state of origin. I will just come here. I will select this. I will lock this as well. And then if not found, what do I want it to return? Maybe I want it to return nothing, right? Let's just see that I want it to return, what exactly do I want it to return? Let's just say that name not found. So I'll put that in quotes and I will say name not found, or should I say state not found? I think that is better. I'll just come here and I'll call this state not found. States not found. I'll close the quotes and then I'll close the bracket, then I'll press enter. Now I'll copy this down Now press Ctrl D. Now let's now assume that I come here now and I type OY. Let's say OY. Then I press enter. What do you see here? It's telling me that states not found. And the reason for that is because I've defined that if it not see that, I don't want it to return error. What I want to see is state not found. So that makes sense. And that's basically how to make use of VLOOKUP. And then using VLOOKUP and Fatima, please confirm, is my screen frozen?
No, I can hear you.
Oh,
And I can see your screen.
okay, okay, well, that's fine. Then we go to the last thing that we're going to be discussing today. And then basically, what I'm teaching you is using the lookup function in Excel. Well, basically, you can also make use of the VLOOKUP to get these as well, right? That is in a situation whereby you are not looking at an exact range. So if you do equals to VLOOKUP, now you see the syntax. So let me give you the syntax. Now you can see where you have an approximate match, and then you also have an exact match. So in a situation whereby you just need an approximate match, you can make use of VLOOKUP. But then alternatively, it's best you make use of what's it called? You make use of a lookup function. So I'm going to use VLOOKUP, then afterwards I will use lookup, then we close the session. So if I do equals to VLOOKUP, now what is the lookup value? This is the lookup value. What is the lookup array? The lookup array is this. I'm just going to come here, I will select this, I will lock it. Then what is the column index number? The column index number is 1. And what exactly do I want to return? If I say an exact match, there is no 29. So if I do if I do an exact match, if I do 0, and I close the bracket and I have enter, it's going to tell me that this is not applicable. But then this is 92, which simply means that the guy has what? An A. So all I need to do is to come here and I do an approximate match and I press enter. Okay, what is it? This returning. Okay, so this column number is 2, not 1. Then I'll come here. If I double click on this, then you see that it gives me the results, right? This is fine, but then instead of this, I'm going to make use of what? Lookup function in Excel. So I'm going to say equals to lookup. Now, what is the lookup value? The lookup value is this guy here, right? This is the guy here. Then I will put a comma. Then what is the lookup vector? The lookup vector is this guy. That is where this guy is. I will lock it. Then I'll come here as well. Then what is the return, result vector? The result vector is the grade that I have here. I'm also going to log this as well. Then I'll press enter. Now I want to work smart. I've been able to do this now. I don't want to go back to when I'm doing for English as well. Okay, undo, Ctrl Z, Ctrl D to copy down. Now I want a situation whereby when I'm doing for English, I don't want to redo the formula. All I need to do is to just come here, Ctrl C, and I'll paste this here. Now, if I press F2, now you see that because I did not lock this guy and I keep my table range in place, I'm able to do that very smart and then very, very fast. I'm efficient doing that. I can just double click this and I will do the same thing for this as well. I'll just do Ctrl C, I'll come here, I'll paste, and I'll double click. And come here, I'll do Ctrl C, and I'll come here and I'll paste, then I can double click this. And this helps me to work very, very smart and very, very efficient. So those are the functions that you can leverage on today. We've been able to look at the basic function. We've also looked at choose, index, and match. We've looked at the VLOOKUP. I've also taught you how you can merge VLOOKUP and match together. That is a combination of function. We've looked at count ifs and using count if and average. Then we've also looked at the the lookup as well as XLOOKUP. Now, the last thing I'm going to teach you just before I take questions, just 1 or 2 questions, is that somebody asked me that when I enter something in a particular cell, then the formatting actually goes off and all of that. All you need to do is come to your conditional formatting. If you come to home, then you come to conditional formatting, then you can click on new rule. Now, if you click on new rule, then all you're going to select is that you have format all cells based on their values. You have format only cells that contain. So I want to format cells that contain blank. So I'm just going to come here, then I'll say blank. Now, what is the color that I want to use? Let's say that I want to make use of, if it is blank, let's just say that I want to use yellow. Then if there's any other thing that you want to do, maybe a pattern and all of that, you can always do all of those. But then for the sake of this class, let me just click on OK. Now click on OK. Now this is blank. I can decide to drag it anywhere. Now, anytime, once I type a number here, then you see that it goes up. Once I type something here, and if I come here and then I delete it, then you see that I still have that format. And that's about it. Do we always need to lock cells when using lookup formula? No. So the reason why you need to lock maybe a particular range is because you want to keep it, you want to keep referring to that particular range. If there's no need to refer to the range, then there's no need to do an absolute lock. All right, so is there any other question for me just before we have our quiz? Okay, so I guess there is no question. I can hand over to Fatima. Hi, Fatima.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babatope. I think one person has question. Brian,
Okay, please
please you
proceed.
can
Yeah,
unmute
please
your mic.
proceed.
Right? Okay. Hi, Brian. Please unmute your mic. Okay, let's move on to Alebio show.
Okay, Lazisi is saying that the proper way to use that is to name your table. Um, there are different ways to achieve an objective. I quite agree with you that you have to name it so that you can easily call it out. And the reason why you're doing that is so that you are not doing an absolute reference. So see that when you name a particular cell in Excel, it's also the same thing as you making it an absolute, more like you are doing an absolute referencing. So let's say, for example, what I've done here now, I can decide to come here and say that this particular range, what I was selecting before, right? What I was selecting before, can decide to call this scores, right? Can decide to call this scores, and then I can decide to come here and call these guys grade, right? So I'll just call this guy grade. Now, when I'm coming here, I don't need to come back to that particular table again. What I'm going to do is that I'll just call out whatever I need. So if I come here and I say equals to lookup, you select the lookup value. And then what is the lookup vector? That is, I'm looking at it from the scores. And then what is the result? That is grade, right? And I press enter. And that's it, right? So either ways that you want to do it, maybe you want to use a name cell. Alternatively, if you've done it before, you can come to your formulas and then come to your, I think using, I think is it define, you define name, then you can click on apply names. Then I can select the two, then I can just click on OK. So wherever I've used the formulas before, you see that it's going to apply there. So you see that I've used that particular range in this particular cell before, then you see that I've been able to apply it here. So I don't need to come back here and type in scores and grade. So you can just use that.
All
Yeah,
right.
please go back to watch the video.
Alebio
Yeah.
show. Please, can you unmute your mic?
Good evening, Mr. Babatope.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes. For this particular table, why is VLOOKUP? Why is it not working with exact match that we have to use approximate match?
Do you mean VLOOKUP?
Yes, VLOOKUP, not lookup.
Yeah, so if you say VLOOKUP, if you say VLOOKUP, VLOOKUP, pam, pam, pam. Now you see approximate match. What is the meaning of approximate match? Approximate match just simply means that exactly. When you see something that is exact, that's what I want you to return. But then, what am I saying? Approximate match simply means that it falls within that particular range. And then when you say exact match, that means that exactly, just return the exact thing. Now let's say, for example, now what I have here is, so if I do come back here, then I do equals to VLOOKUP. Then this is the lookup value. What is the table array? I did not name my table range. So I'm just going to select this range. Then I press F4. Then what is the column? I think that is column 2. Column 2. Then if I say 0, now when you look at this value, I have 29, 30, 40, 50, 60, and then 70. This is what I have exactly here. And if I close the bracket, then I press enter. What you see here is not applicable. But then if I type 29 here, then it's going to return an F for me. Now that is the reason why it's returning a result for me is because it sees exactly what I have there. But then if I come here, then I want it to return, that is, if it not see what exactly is there, I want you to go to the next thing that is close to it. So if I just want to press 1 for approximate mine, then I press enter. So whatever thing that I have here, even if I price 90 here, is just going to define the range. I think that answers your question.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Let's
All
have
right,
then
Samuel,
Samuel.
you can ask your question too. Please unmute your mic.
Okay, what I want to say is that thank you very much, sir, but you are too fast to you are too fast. That's the issue, but that's what
Okay,
I just
thank you
want to
very
say.
much, Samuel. Thank you very much,
Thank you
Samuel.
very much,
This is
sir.
just
Really
for one
appreciate it.
hour. This for 1 hour. I thought you have a question. That's why I gave you the opportunity. This for 1 hour. You can always go to the recording to check it. Thank
I
you for
will do
your
that.
comments.
Very much.
Yeah.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, Oluwatosin, last question, please. Please unmute your mic. Oluwatobi, rather, please unmute your mic.
Hello. So what I want to ask is that when you say lock it, like I don't understand
Okay.
what that means at
Yeah.
all.
Okay. That's just basically referencing. So if I say you lock that particular range, then you make it an absolute referencing. If you are locking the column, that means that you are making that either a column constant, and then when you say that you are locking the row, that means that you make that a row constant. And what does that mean? Let's say, for example, I want to refer to this particular cell now, and I say equals to this. Now I have the column and I have the row. This is what we call relative reference. Relative reference is a situation whereby you do not lock either the row or the column. Number two, if I do equal to, then I select this, then I press F4. This is what we call absolute cell referencing. That is, I'm locking this both the row and the column so that anytime any day that I drag this to the right, now if I copy these two to the right now, you observe that I have different results here. What this simply means is that both the row and the column are not going to change. That is, it's just going to keep referring to this particular cell. If I come here, this is going to keep referring to this particular cell. Now for this is relative referencing. That is both the row and the column, they are going to change. When you see this now, because I'm moving to the row, you see that it's changing, right? And it's giving me another thing, depending on what I want to look at. Now, if I do equal to, and I select this particular cell, then let's say that I've locked maybe the column. Now, when you're locking as well, you make use of F4. Now, if you press your F4, and then what it's doing is that it just maybe changing the brightness or increasing the volume, maybe reducing the volume, or maybe reducing the brightness. What you now need to do is to make use of your Fn and the F4 key. So if I do this now, this is me locking the row. That is, I want to keep referring to this particular row. If I press enter, and if I copy to the right, now what you observe is that it's going to keep referring to the row. Even if I come down and then I copy this down, what you observe is that it's just going to keep referring to the row. Do you get it? And then the last one is that you want to keep the column constant. So if I come here now and I press F4, F4, and F, that means that I'm keeping F constant. Then if I copy it to the right, what you observe is that the column will remain constant. That is, column F will remain constant. If I copy down and I do Control D, what you observe is that this column F still remain constant, but then the row has changed to 10. And that's just basically the difference. I hope you get that now.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Babatope. We really appreciate your time. The section has been really insightful and impactful indeed. Thank you very much, sir, for your time once again. So, to everybody, I've dropped the quiz for this today and the evaluation. Please kindly fill, and this is what we are basically using to rate the participation for each and every classes that has been held. And also, please, everything you've learned today, you can, as usual, just go on LinkedIn posts, and you will tag Babatope, you can tag me, and also I'll be dropping his LinkedIn and do. The only way we can appreciate them, trust me, is by actually following them and let's like appreciating them as well. Please, let's appreciate them on the chat and all. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you very much, everyone, for your time too towards learning. And I wish you all the best. All right, the session has hereby come to an end. Please do have a good day.